Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Roman Reigns hasn't been on WWE TV since the Raw after WrestleMania, when Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker aligned to destroy Reigns and CM Punk. The OTC has been speculated to return to TV for months, but the star hasn't appeared since then. Fans have been expecting Reigns to return and attack Seth Rollins and his faction to continue the unfinished business he has with the stars, which could lead to a blockbuster match between Reigns and Rollins at SummerSlam. However, the tribal chief might have something different planned. Roman Reigns might make his presence felt at Night of Champions this weekend during the huge undisputed WWE Championship match between John Cena and CM Punk. A possible interference could lead to Reigns unexpectedly helping the Second City Saint dethrone Cena and become the new champion, adding a major twist to the storyline. Furthermore, this could create a storyline involving Roman Reigns, John Cena, and CM Punk, leading up to a potential triple threat match in the main event of SummerSlam. This could be the ideal way to bring Reigns back on TV and reintroduce him into the title scene with some major matches and storylines. Additionally, the triple threat match at SummerSlam might be the perfect moment for Seth Rollins to cash in his Money in the Bank contract and steal all the spotlight by becoming the new undisputed WWE champion. A story like this would be full of surprises and could be perfect for a stage like SummerSlam. Fans will have to wait and see what WWE has planned for Roman Reigns and his return. Seth Rollins called out Roman Reigns recently. This week's episode of Raw opened up with Seth Rollins coming out and addressing the confusion among fans. The WWE Universe has not been able to decide whether to cheer for Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, or Cody Rhodes, which shows how well the company has been doing lately. Rollins called out the OTC and claimed he was the sole reason for the latter's success. Wrestling veteran Vince Russo, during a recent episode of the Legion of Raw, addressed the promo and criticized the company for including something that had nothing to do with the show. "Again, man. It's just, we're doing what we do every week. It's not moving, it's not going anywhere. What was the purpose of this opening promo? Everybody is running for the second place. That's the purpose of the promo? Usually, when I wrote in rings, it was because somebody had something to say. They had nothing to say here. What do they have to say? It has nothing to do with business tonight, it's not setting up tonight's show." 9/28 onwards. While Russo didn't like the idea of the promo, fans clearly saw it as a hint that Reigns' return was imminent. Only time will tell what WWE has in store for Rollins and Reigns next. The night was electric in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, as WWE's Night of Champions event brought in a record crowd and a stacked card filled with high-stakes title matches. But one match, Seth Rollins vs. Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship, carried an unexpected aura. Rumors had circulated that someone major was returning. Some whispered it might be Randy Orton. Others said it was Drew McIntyre finally turning heel. But no one dared to believe the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, would grace the event. And yet, something felt off. The lights dimmed. The pyro exploded in gold and red. Seth Rollins, clad in a golden and purple robe, made his signature entrance to the tune of "Burn It Down," soaking in the crowd's adoration. He looked confident, focused. Across the ring stood Damian Priest, the current World Heavyweight Champion, with Finn Balor and JD McDonagh lurking backstage. He was every bit the powerhouse, but tonight he was alone. Judgment Day had promised they wouldn't interfere, for once. But then, the entire landscape of WWE shifted. The shocking return. Midway through the match, Seth Rollins executed a picture-perfect Falcon Arrow, nearly capturing the win. Priest kicked out at 2.5. The crowd roared in appreciation of the effort both men were pouring in. The referee got knocked out after an accidental collision during a superplex. Rollins crawled for the cover, but there was no official to count it. And then, "Acknowledge me." The arena erupted. The haunting tune of "The Head of the Table" blared through the stadium as Roman Reigns slowly walked down the ramp in all black, wearing a sleeveless hoodie with his trademark golden gauntlet on his right hand. His expression was unreadable. He wasn't flanked by Solo Sikoa. He wasn't accompanied by Paul Heyman. He was alone, and that made it even more terrifying. Rollins sat up, stunned. Priest, barely coherent, was still down. Roman climbed into the ring and looked directly at Rollins. A tense moment passed. Then, without warning, Reigns speared Rollins out of his boots. The crowd gasped. Some cheered. Most screamed in confusion. Roman stared down at the carnage. He turned to Priest, who was crawling toward the ropes, and dragged him by the arm and placed him on top of Rollins. The referee, now groggily coming to, saw the pin and counted, 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest retained. But the story wasn't about the champion. The story was about the executioner, Roman Reigns. Why Roman did it. After the match, the camera cut backstage where Paul Heyman stood watching a monitor, mouth agape and eyes glistening. "He didn't tell me," he whispered. "He didn't need me." In the post-match interview area, Reigns finally spoke. Calmly, he said, "Seth Rollins never beat me. Not clean. Never. You think I forgot? While I was gone. Licking wounds from betrayal, from family turning their backs on me. He got crowned as the workhorse. He got handed that title. But that belt? That's not his legacy. That's mine. And if I'm not going to wear it around my waist, I'll make sure he never does either." Roman wasn't back to reclaim gold, yet. He was back to remind the world that power in WWE didn't come from belts. It came from fear. The fallout on Raw. The next night on Raw, Seth Rollins came to the ring in street clothes, still furious. He called out Reigns. "You used to be my brother. We went to war. And when I thought you couldn't sink lower, you cost me the one thing I bled for, the World Heavyweight Championship." The crowd chanted, "Rematch. Rematch." But Roman didn't appear on the Titantron. Instead, he sent a message through Paul Heyman, who walked out reluctantly. Roman Reigns acknowledges no one. He has already decided Seth Rollins isn't worth a match. But if you want your pound of flesh, you'll have to earn it. Beat who he names. Survive who he sends. Then maybe, the tribal chief will look your way. And just like that, Roman Reigns became the puppet master of Monday Night Raw, without ever switching brands. The Judgment Day twist. Backstage, Damian Priest confronted Finn Balor and JD McDonagh. "I didn't ask for his help. I don't owe him anything." But the smirk on Finn's face told a different story. "Who said you didn't? Maybe it's time Judgment Day found new blood. Maybe. Bloodline." The seeds were planted. Was this the start of an alliance between the Judgment Day and a reborn, more vicious Bloodline 2.0, with Roman replacing weak links with those hungry for power? SmackDown reacts. Over on SmackDown, Solo Sikoa was not amused. He stood in the ring with Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, sending a chilling message. "You came back, Roman. But not to us. You betrayed your blood to help a man who ain't family. So now you either stand with us again, or we finish what we started." It became clear that Roman Reigns had created enemies on both brands, Rollins on Raw, and Solo's Bloodline on SmackDown. But Roman? He didn't flinch. He welcomed it. Night of Champions, the ripple effect. That one act, interfering in Seth Rollins' title match, caused a seismic ripple throughout WWE. Damian Priest kept his title but now owed a silent debt. Seth Rollins had a new obsession, revenge. The Judgment Day flirted with the idea of joining forces with Roman Reigns. Solo Sikoa questioned Roman's loyalty, escalating a civil war in the Bloodline. And Paul Heyman? He feared he was no longer needed. Roman Reigns had returned. Not just as a competitor, but as a kingmaker and a chaos bringer. He didn't want titles anymore. He wanted to control the game.